So, as we said, both Mason Mount and James Maddison have been in England squads before, but they haven't got that all-important first cap. Let's start with Mason Mount, Curtis, somebody you knew from his time at Derby County. What did you make of him in his time there?
Top draw. I spoke to Siddy before the show started and I said he was a player that, just watching him in training the first few days, I said he'd play for England. And it's easy to say now, I know in hindsight, but it wasn't the ability that he had, it was the combination of ability, his awareness I always think of midfielders, you know, you get people that can handle the ball and have nice touches, but his awareness of where the next pass is, he seemed to be like a page ahead of what his age was, kind of thing. And like I say, he's fortunate enough that he's now gone back to Chelsea with Frank as his manager, and he's continued that faith that he had in Derby, and obviously from here he's gone into a team that is, for all due respect to us, better than Derby County, and he's thriving from it.
What improvements did you see, because clearly there have been, in his game, in his time at Derby, and how important do you think that time was?
I don't know if there were improvements. From the day he came in the door, he was very confident. He obviously it was his obviously he'd been in Vitesse before, and people don't remember that, but he scored. I think he scored 14 and assisted 11 at Vitesse at 18 years old. So he obviously had calibre, and he came to Derby and he showed it more because it was on English stage. And I think the fact that, you know, he's a confident player, he likes to get a shot off, and playing in a style that Frank Lampard wants to play in a Chelsea side, he's only going to do well in that side.
I think if you take on board what Curtis says there, the fact that he only made his Premier League debut 10 days ago, and of course he got his first goal, and we're talking about a potential England cap, it just shows really what a sensation he's created in his first two starts.
Yeah, and I think Curtis just touched on it then. Literally, that stemmed from the loan system, how it can develop and how it can be such a big thing in a player's early career. You know, he's gone to Vitesse, he's done really well, he's gone to Derby, he's done the next step up. Obviously, he's been fortunate enough that the manager from there is obviously now at the same club as his home club, been given a chance on the big stage, and he's took it with both hands. So, listen, top talent. I think Ashley Cole was asked a bit of a dodgy question on the other game to say who was better out of him and Maddison Mount, or not better,
why
but
is
who
that
would
a
he
dodgy
take?
question?
Well, just because, you know, obviously Ashley's just come out of retirement, and obviously he's got his Chelsea hat on, and you're comparing someone that's just made his Premier League sort of start journey to someone that's obviously, yes, he's only been one season with Maddison, but he's took it like a duck to water. But there's comparisons in both.
I mean, what is it that you like about Mason Mount? What is it you like in his game?
Well, a lot of players, again, Curtis just said there, that go into, when they go on loan in training, they show the flicks, nice touches, but they don't produce that in the games. He's someone that has gone, right, this is a level that I can cope at. He's done it in training, but obviously in games, he's producing that in games. So he's got that no fear factor straight away, which a lot of youngsters have, but they get a bit frozen on the big stage. You've seen how energetic that he is, plays on the front foot. Obviously, he's got an eye for goal, can score a goal, can assist. His work rate is there for all to see. So for a young age, for someone that's just starting out in his Premier League career, he couldn't get off to a better start.
I mean, they've been in England squads before. Both been on the bench before as well. I think it was USA and Croatia. How much would that stand them in good stead if they take the next step to make their debuts?
I think it's just another tick on their journeys. I think you look at Mason Mount, he'd trained with the England first team before he'd even come to Derby. I think he was with the under-20s and was one of the ones that's promoted to train with the team. So there's obviously something that Gareth Southgate saw in him then, and the fact of he got picked last season, albeit he's a Chelsea loanee, he was a Championship player, and he got picked into an England squad. Now that don't ever happen really. It's only been Jack Butland and I think David Nugent before that was picked as a Championship player. So that was obviously a big thing for him. But like I say, I know just how good he is, and it doesn't surprise me. Nothing with this. I say this kid because he is still a kid, will surprise me, and I think he'll go all the way.
You've got to remember as well that he's he's been a part of the England product. So he's gone all the way through from 16s to 21s. I've just come back from an advanced youth award through the FA course, and they talk about how they put the principles in place from the age of 16s all the way through up to the top tier. And it's all the principles. So when they make that transition from the next group to the next group, it's an easy transition. They know it's the same principles that apply from 16.
What style of play? When you say principles, what do you mean?
Well, style of play, their beliefs, their philosophy, if you want to say. I know philosophy is a big word in football nowadays. The way they attack, the way they defend, transitions. All these little tiny percents, all these little structures are all implemented early on. So in that England fold from 16. So when these players, if they keep going through the stages, it's just seamless. It just goes on to the next age group, and then when they hit the first team, it's as though they've been playing for the under-16s because it's all built through the same groups.
I mean, the other thing as well, which is interesting, he, of course, Mason Mount is still eligible for the under-21s, whereas James Maddison isn't anymore. So that perhaps makes it even, it's been done before, but even more underlining his talent to be taken straight up. Obviously, Gareth Southgate and Eddie Boothroyd have been speaking.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of players that have been in the first team fold, in the full squad fold, to be dropped down because they're needed at the 21s. I prefer it that if he's earned a place in the 23 for an England squad, he stays in the England squad. We didn't do it with Marcus Rashford. We never done it with Wayne Rooney. I don't think Wayne Rooney played for the under-21s. So I know we're talking about the top, but
sometimes it can be a benefit, especially in the tournament scenario, when you get players that haven't had that tournament experience. If they come out of that fold, they can go back in. I think it happened this year. Yeah. But Wan-Bissaka got, obviously there's a few of them that got pulled back in. Yeah. They played a strong squad. So it gives them that experience of when it comes to, because tournament football is totally different from anything that they've ever played. Different to friendlies, different to obviously league games. So I think that's the big benefit when they can drop down into that.
Well, if you were impressed with Mason Mount's, if you like, his arrival in the Premier League, what would you say about James Maddison's debut season in the Premier League last season?
I think he was absolutely sensational. I remember the first game Norwich played against
Manchester United at Old Trafford.
Honestly, and I remember watching that, and I remember coming away thinking, this kid is special. I mean, what a top talent. I played against him when he was at Norwich, when I was coming towards the back end of my career, and he gave me the absolute run around. But, again, through the stages, started out early, 17 at Coventry, got the sort of move to Norwich, a bit of a stepping stone move. 20 million Leicester paid for him, which seems an absolute bargain.
An absolute snip, in my opinion. The money that's going now to have got Maddison at 20 million was a snip.
I'll throw another number at you. 100 chances he created last season, the most in the Premier League. So if you put that alongside 20 million, he's third the price he should have been.
Yeah, he was ridiculous. When I played against him when I was at Derby, I actually, after the game, said that we couldn't deal with him. Because it was like, you get players and they want to do everything and they want to dribble and they want their own ball. He wanted his own ball, but he actually done something with it. So he was literally, I hate to say it, but I think it was Bradley Johnson. He literally didn't touch the ball, swiveled one way, swiveled the other way, didn't touch the ball, and just he was toying with us. And this was a 20-year-old kid at the time, and I'm thinking, if he's this good, I know this is a championship, but if he's this good here, and he's like, we were considered a good team in the league, what's it going to be like once he steps up and plays with better players, with all due respect? And to be fair, once he went to Leicester, I say he was almost like he was the main man straight away, and he's on every set piece, he's on every free kick, every corner, and like I say, because of that backing, I think he's that kind of player that if he's given that sort of licence to say, well, you're the main man, you're going to run it for us, I think he sort of puffs his chest out and makes the game.
I was going to ask you both about his character, because he seems to have bags of confidence and self-belief, but not a single trace, because sometimes with that you get, in a good way, an arrogance. But he really does play with a smile on his face, doesn't he? Yeah. And he's got a lovely personality.
Yeah. And that arrogance is a fine line. Yeah. All the top players, they've all got that arrogance, they've all got that bit of swagger, they've got that strut. But there's that fine line where if you tip over too much, you can get brought down a peg or two very, very quickly. But he's got that. Listen, you don't know what his dynamics are like off the pitch. It seems like he's very grounded, got great family life, got
seems very bubbly as well.
Great people around him, and he's enjoying his football. So I think if he's enjoying himself off the field as he is on the field, you know, it's brilliant and superb for England, because he's going to be a top player. I mean, he's a top player now, but he's going to be one for the future for a very long time for England.
You didn't like the question, but what's the difference between the two players? How are they different?
With Maddison, I think he's got at this stage now in his career, he sees the pass quickly. I mean, and that's a killer pass as well. We're talking key chances, over 100 chances created in the Premier League. His link-up play with Vardy, you can see the positions that he gets in, that little pockets. As soon as he gets the ball, he's scanned. He's already got pictures in his head. He turns. He knows where Vardy's going to be running. He knows where to play the ball, and that's only going to be exactly the same when he gets in that England fold. Imagine then that you've got Kane going, Rashford going, Sancho going, Sterling going. I mean, you've got players there that will know they can make runs. It's very much similar when Dennis Bergkamp was at Arsenal, and when players are off of him, when he picked up the ball, they made the runs because they knew he would find them. Mm-hmm. I'm not comparing him to Dennis Bergkamp, by the way, but I'm just saying, in the context.
I'd say Maddison is the type that his strength comes from carrying the ball, and differently to Mason Mount. Mason Mount's strength is, you know, seeing the pass, playing it, good assists, whereas Maddison will carry the ball, but he can do what Mason Mount does as well. I'm not saying Mason can't carry the ball, but Maddison will take on players, he'll dribble past players, he'll sort of make players look silly at times. Whereas Mace is more about getting into good positions, dropping in the hole and playing nice little passes. And obviously he can run with the ball, but Maddison is more, I don't know if it's a confidence thing or if it's just the way he likes to play, but sometimes he's got a bit of a show reel every game just to show how good he is.
I mean, it's not a question about comparing the two. I'm interested in the different style, the different techniques that they both have. Also, perhaps interesting, who they might replace in the next England squad. In some ways, some of them are obvious because injuries meant they just haven't played. I mean, when you look there...
Yeah, looking at that squad, obviously, you'd say Dele Alli has been injured, Fabian Delph's been injured, Eric Dyer's been injured as well, I think. So you're saying Barkley, Mason Mount's been playing ahead of him in that team. So it's interesting whether or not there'll be other players that might come in, you know, the likes of Winks as well. But
Jesse Lingard is obviously a name there, isn't there, as well? He's not had, you know, the greatest of starts to the Premier League or the back end to the Premier League last season. So, but obviously he's in the fold, and he's one that I think if you did bring out would be a little bit harsh, because you want him to be carrying on that England path.
What sort of... I mean, Gareth Southgate is obviously a very loyal person, but also you've got to take into account form. If he was... I mean, it may well be because of the amount of injuries that he can't leave Jesse Lingard out. Yeah. But what sort of impact would that have on a player like Jesse Lingard if he were left out?
It's not ideal, you know, and we all know that the game of football is obviously about ability, is about technical ability, but it's also about the mental side of it and the confidence side of it. And once you've got players that are not 100% confident, you want to try and keep them on, you know, keep them as bubbly as you can. So you want to try and keep him in the fold. And once you start saying, right, OK, he's not playing well at club level, we'll whip him out of the England side. How is that going to, you know, make him perform week in, week out?
He needs to rely on Southgate, relying on his England form and what he's done for him in the past. Because I saw a stat the other day that he hasn't scored or assisted a goal since December, which is surprising because, like I say, he's always involved in the game and he's always quite a big part of the game. Yeah. But obviously that's a scary stat.
Could it be, Curtis, also exactly what he needs right now? Get away from the club where it's not happening for whatever reason, through no lack of effort, go away with England. It could happen for him with England, and that could get him going once again.
Yeah, well, like I say, he's a top player, and like I say, he started at the World Cup for us when we got to a semi-final. So this isn't a player that, you know, has done nothing, and he's had a couple of caps, and it's like, oh, should he be left out? He's actually done quite a lot for this country already in his short England career. So I think the way Southgate will look at it is he'll maybe give him that extra benefit of the doubt to say, listen, like, this is your chance to maybe shine if like I say, if you're not doing it at Manchester United, and give him that chance to basically raise his platform and get back to levels that he knows he's good at.
And also, at his age, because some people think he's a little bit younger, at his age, which is 26, about to turn 27, is now the time he needs to be delivering.
Yeah, because, again, people will compare him to other people in the past. You know, you think of the midfielders that we've had before, the Lampards, the Gerrards and people like that. And, listen, they're the best that we've had ever. But, obviously, when they're young, you'll give them a few games and things like that. But, obviously, when you get into 26, 27, you're meant to reach your peak at 28, 29 as a midfielder. So it's down to Gareth Southgate to recognise if he's getting there or not.
Well, I'll tell you who is getting there and has been recognised is Jadon Sancho. Dortmund have offered him reportedly a bumper contract, possibly to ward off suitors. What does it say about him and what he's done? The move he made and how much he's delivered. I mean, absolutely extraordinary. 13 goals, 15 assists. Just amazing.
It tells you what a ridiculous standard he's set in one of the toughest leagues in Europe. You know, they say the Bundesliga is just below the Premier League. You know, a lot of English teams in pre-season go and play German teams because they know it's the very much equivalent of what they're going to face week in, week out in the Premier League. He's exciting. He's got no fear. He's explosive. He gets you off your seat. He's one of them players that, you know, from an early age, from 17, he's made the decision to go to Dortmund and say, right, I'm going to go and progress my career here. I mean, it's a massive call when he's gone there. And he's been a trailblazer because since that...
Look at the numbers. His numbers are absolutely extraordinary.
The stats all speak for itself, you know, and it'll back his decision of going there. You know, that... I mean, look the minutes per goal or assist, you know, the assist, the goals, starts... It's absolutely phenomenal, and at that age as well, to go out there and his name's been touted around for a long time, even in this country. When he was a youngster,
as a special talent.
When he was a youngster, and you've got to say to yourself, how has he gone abroad? You know, how obviously and I said before, it's a big call for him, whether it was for himself or his family or his people around him that's gone, look, you need to progress your career off the shores of England.
I think that's a good testament to his character.
Yeah.
Because, you know, most kids now that get caught up at a side like a Chelsea, a Man City, an Arsenal, they're on big money before they've even played a game. So he could have accepted a bumper contract, as we say, bumper contract at Man City with a 4 or 5 year deal, but maybe never play for the first team until he's 22, 23. And yet that might not ever happen anyway because of the spending power that a Man City have got. But the fact that a Bundesliga side have come to sign you, I think it was for 10 million did he sign for? Mm-hmm. At 17, 18 years old, just shows you that confidence. If you're a young lad and you get someone that wants to buy you that young and they're going to involve you, you're going to play, I don't blame him for going, but also it doesn't surprise me that, like I say, he's had the character to go there, which showed me he's strong and mentally quite mature for a young lad. But the fact that he's gone there and actually done it just backed his decision up even more, and it's brilliant for England. But the only problem is now he's done well in Germany. We're starting to have a few more that are getting touted to go to Germany. Obviously, Lookman's gone and Hudson-Odoi nearly went to Bayern Munich.
Well, let me ask you both to respond to this tweet that's come in. If you were, obviously means Jadon, if you were Jadon Sancho, would you leave for a bigger club or stay at Borussia Dortmund to improve as a player and for more game time? I mean...
Well, he'll certainly get the game time there. That ticks a box.
It's a big club.
It's a huge club. Yeah. He'll improve. He'll still improve there because it's still a test, week in, week out. But I don't see it being too long before he's coming back. And for me, what
would you base it on? If he carries on progressing at the rate he's at, because obviously money isn't a problem there.
He could get into any club in the Premier League.
But why would he come back here for another couple of years?
Why would he come back here?
Yeah, when would you, if you were advising him?
Yep.
When would you say? What would you say? Stay another year, another 2 years?
I'd say stay another season at least. So stay another season and then see what's happened. Because football, the industry is a fast-moving industry. Things change a hell of a lot in different clubs. I think from next season onwards, he could come back and he could play in any club, any of the top 4, any of the top 2, Liverpool, Man City. And he could be there week in, week out if he keeps the standard that he's set now.
It depends on the stock that Dortmund set for him. Because if Dortmund have a Champions League run and they end up getting to a quarter-final, semi-final, when he's starred throughout that competition, and then you've got all the big fish swimming, you've got Real Madrid, you've got Barcelona, you've got Man City all swimming for his signature, that's a decision he has to make. If Dortmund get a bid of 100 million for him and they accept it, then you're like, oh, you ain't got a choice anyway. You're going to be going because these clubs want you for that money. But obviously, it's down to him. But I think he could go now. He could go to most clubs in the Premier League. Yeah. But I think he is only 19. So if he stays there for another couple of years, he's still only going to be 21. And then potentially
Yeah,
move
but it's very
again.
hard for a youngster to see that far in advance.
Oh yeah, of course, yeah.
They can't, they want, as everyone
everyone's
wants a here and
anything
now.
now, exactly,
Everyone's, it's very hard to say, well, just pull the handbrake up a little bit, have another year, 2 years, 3 years, keep progressing, you're still a baby. It's not the
I mean,
case.
I'm always loath to heap pressure on young players, but how good is he and how good could he become?
Well, I've not worked with him personally, but I've seen
what
him play.
you've seen?
Yeah, but from what I've seen, again, it's that.
And you talk
Play-
to people in the game.
Yeah, but watching him play for England, it's like I said, it's that awareness. It sometimes, like I say, you can have a young player comes into a game, he has a brilliant impact because he can run at people, he can beat people, he's exciting, but that's pretty much it, and they get worked out quite quickly. But with him, like I say, I watched him start for England, and I thought, I've not really seen a lot of this lad, let me watch him properly. And he was just a breath of fresh air. Like he knew, I'm talking about in risky positions on the pitch where you think someone's making their full debut, maybe just cleared up the pitch. He's like taking an extra shot, whipping it around, getting it back again, and he's doing things that I think an accomplished 28, 29-year-old probably wouldn't do in that situation. But it just shows his confidence and maybe the naivety of being only 18 years old at the time, 19 years old, maybe helped him. But I think he's only going to progress even more from getting more and more caps.
You say naivety though, but I disagree in one sense there in terms of at such a young age and in his position, the joy he gets from assists.
Oh yeah.
There's times where he could score, but he's more than happy to roll it across the box for someone else to score.
What is his
Brilliant.
position? What's his best position?
I love him from out wide, from either side.
In a three?
They call
winger,
them now inside forwards because they're the ones that either keep the width and go outside, and then the fullbacks come in and do the underlaps, or they drive in and then the fullbacks go out wide and create the space. But when he drives in, he's the best in the business at the moment in terms of being explosive and getting people off their seat and going, something can happen. As soon as he gets the ball, you're thinking something can happen here.
Mm-hmm.